Defensive secrets on NBA 2K26. This is coming from 2K Labs. They did a whole in-depth testing about the contest system, the ratings, the badges, how everything intertwines. Super detailed, super valuable. And like y'all know, 2K Labs, they do the jump shot testing and stuff for the biggest screen windows, the fastest jump shots, all that. Use code Joe at checkout, so you get a discount on the premium section. But all this stuff they post is free and it is super duper valuable. You're going to learn a ton in the next 7 minutes. Let's check this video out.
With 7-4s being quote-unquote uncontestable, the team at NBA 2K Lab wanted to find a way to stop the 7-4 stretch-ademic. And what was supposed to be a couple simple tests turned into the definitive guide for how to play defense in NBA 2K26. So in this video, we're not only going to cover how to effectively contest 7-4s, but we're also covering everything from wingspans, block and perimeter defense ratings and their relation to contest percentages, along with a bunch of useful gems that will give you a better idea of how defense works in NBA 2K.
This is going to help you understand. Like, I know a lot of people are like, how is that this? How is that only a 20? How's that open? This answers a ton of those questions for you guys. I'm telling you, this is one of the best, most informational 7 minutes you're going to get.
26. So before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe for the most in-depth testing NBA 2K26 has to offer, and let's get
They really do a good job with the testing.
First, let's quickly talk about how contests work. This year, in order to register a solid contest, you likely need to jump at the offensive player, and when jumping at a player, your block rating will greatly increase the effectiveness of your contest percentage.
So this hit social media, and everybody was like freaking out, like, bro, what? Like, block is helping me get contest. It's been like this for years. If you guys have watched my channel, you guys know on every build I make, even if I made, like last year, I made a 6'2 guard, I put the block up as high as I can. One, it's super cheap on guards, so there's no reason not to. But two, because I have known for years that the higher your block rating, the better jump animation you're going to get on the perimeter. It's not just for blocking shots in the paint and getting better jumps in the paint. It helps you contest shots on the perimeter, and this data 100% backs it up.
Ran a test in this scenario at 4 different block ratings, and here's what we found. When jumping at a shooter while in good defensive position, we saw a somewhat linear and consistent contest percentage across all block ratings. A 25 block provided a decent contest with almost 56%. At a 50 block, we saw an average contest of 67%. A 75 block saw a 79% contest, and then a 99 block saw an average contest of nearly 97%. Granted,
so it's pretty obvious, like the more block you have, the better jump animation you're going to get, the better contest you're going to get. Now, again, this says jump contest from good positioning to start with. And obviously, there's other factors that are going to come into this. Height, wingspan, ratings, all that stuff. But this is just to try to see what I was talking about, how I've known for years. And that's why I've always said on my builds, like, you're going to put some block on it. Even if you're not meant to defend the paint, it's just going to help you contest shots.
these contests are more like heavy contests, so we ran the same test but from slightly further out, and the results weren't as linear, with a 99 block being much better than a 75, showing that an elite block rating can be significantly better when jumping from longer distances.
So now this chart right here, and this is why I say like this information is so helpful. Now this shows that this year on 2K26, the actual rating, like once you start to get into the really high block rating, it's a significant boost. Like obviously you see here, this is from further positioning on jump contests. It's not, you know, good positioning like the first test was. Even then, it still helps. I mean, that's about what, a 5 or 6% increase. Then you got a 6 or 7% increase. But then you start to get that to that elite range, and you see it jump significantly up. So this, I'm saying, you find out like the real details of how the game works. Whether we agree or disagree, they're just helping us understand exactly how the game works. So then it answers some of those questions we have when we're playing, like, bro, how did that, you know what I mean, like stuff like that.
Better when jumping from longer distances. Where perimeter defense comes into play is with hands-up defense, and keep in mind that your block rating will not improve your hands-up contest. And while hands-up defense isn't very effective this year, a higher perimeter defense can improve hands-up contests while in good defensive position. As you can see by the chart, if you want somewhat impactful perimeter defense, aim for at least a 75 to 80 rating at the minimum. If you want to be a good defender, you should aim for at least 90 perimeter defense, and elite lockdowns should be aiming for 95 to 99 for the elite.
So again, this is close contest with hands up. This is not jumping. This is right stick up when you are crowding the shooter.
Contest. When we ran the same test but from slightly further out, higher perimeter defense ratings became even more impactful when compared to the lower ratings. But don't forget that a higher perimeter rating
So hold on, let's go back real quick and just make sure you guys fully understand, right?
When compared,
this is from further away. Now the perimeter rating on a hands-up contest from a little bit further starts to really show its value, because you start to see when you start, like a low one, 70 and under, compared to even just an 85, it's a huge, we're talking 3, 4, 5, 6 times higher because of the rating, right? So you start to see the value in perimeter, so you don't have to jump all the time. Again, height matters. We're going to get into that in a second, but just so we understand the ratings and the attribute side of it.
to the lower ratings. But don't forget that a higher perimeter rating only provides a marginal boost when it comes to jump contests. So it's best to have both block and perimeter defense for the most effective all-around contests. Although I would put a little more stock into block since you're forced to jump contest this year. Aside from perimeter defense and block rating, let's go over an example of how contests work fundamentally. In this post on Reddit, this user was upset the contest didn't register more than 23%, and rightfully so, as even Beluba agreed that it should have been higher later on in the post. Beluba also replied, saying that body position is a major component of getting an effective contest, and if you draw a line from the hoop to the shooter, you need to be as close to that line as possible to maximize your contest.
A little clarification with this one as well, because I'm sure people are reading this. Down here, you're also losing a decent amount of perimeter defense rating for losing 2 adrenaline bars. Mike clarified this on Twitter, and he said he worded it incorrectly. You don't lose perimeter defense. You lose block and steal. You lose block and steal rating as you lose adrenaline. But obviously, as we know, we just saw the numbers. Block matters in terms of jumping and getting those perimeter contests. So when you lose the adrenaline, you lose that block rating, you're not going to get as good of jumps to get better, to get as good of a contest on the perimeter. So I'm not sure if they show that in here, but
Adrenalines, your attributes will also take
Mike clarified that.
But going back to the straight line theory, the 3 bars under the offensive player shows that the defender was not directly in front, which is likely the reason for the lower than expected contest. Had the red bar been directly in the middle, he would have likely saw a better contest. So we ran a test from each defensive coverage zone to see how the contest played out. Unsurprisingly, the front and center zone had the best contest results with an average contest of about 51%, which is about 3 to 5%.
I also find it interesting, like the straight line theory from like the hoop to the ball handler, trying to stay in that kind of like hitbox window. I've always just assumed that was common sense. I feel like people saw him say that and they were like, whoa, like, oh, that's like such a like important concept I never thought of. Maybe it's from like playing sports growing up, but I feel like that was always kind of like what you were taught, right? It's like you want to, as they move, you move to stay between them and the hoop. Like, it's not just to stop them from getting to the basket, but obviously in video game sense right here, like to get that contest, you want to be in that window. Otherwise, you start to get to the sides, you start to get into blinders. I know that's not a badge in the game anymore, but like blinders is still a thing. Like when you try to contest from the side, you're not going to get much, if anything. And that's what the data shows here.
Better than the zones next to it. We also tested just outside the edge zones, and there was basically no contest. So again, body positioning is a huge factor when determining contest percentage. The mode you play also plays an important role in how contests work, with lower difficulty modes like Park and Rec generating lower contest percentages similar to All-Star and Superstar, while other modes like Proving Grounds and Pro-Am will generate higher contests similar to that of Hall of Fame. The tests done in this video were mostly on Hall of Fame, so it's likely that the contests will be higher than you might expect. But these results on the screen came from the same testing scenario but on different difficulties, and you can clearly see the drastic differences. On Rookie through Pro, contests are much weaker, meaning players can shoot a lot more freely. Competitive difficulties like Superstar and Hall of Fame punish poor shot selection far more. Next, we looked at the effects of a max versus a minimum wingspan with a hands-up contest. Going with a max wingspan can provide a modest improvement over minimum wingspan, and from our test results, while in good defensive positioning, the max wingspan registered a 6% better contest than a player with a minimum wingspan in the same scenario with the same exact attributes. So if you want to maximize your contest percentages, try to get the highest wingspan possible, although it's not exactly a deal breaker if you lower it by a couple ticks.
I was actually surprised by this, because this isn't like, oh, like the difference of an inch or two. This is minimum versus maximum. I would have thought this would have been higher, honestly. like a
Let's
bigger
get to the
difference.
hot topic right now in NBA 2K26, the 7'4" stretch-ademic, and which height is going to provide the best contest. Now for this test, we had different heights trying to contest a 7'4" with reasonable badge and attribute thresholds for each height. And before we get into the results, it's important to note that while the challenger badge will improve contest effectiveness, it will not improve the contest percentage. So just keep that in mind. But looking at the
So basically what he's saying there is challenger is not going to turn a 20% contest into a 25, 30, 40% contest. The difference is a 20% contest with no challenger is going to be much weaker than a 20% contest with legend challenger. Like the legend is going to amplify the effectiveness of that 20 or 25, 30, whatever contest you get. The level of the badge is just going to make it more effective. It's not going to increase the number.
chart, the 6'11" was ahead of all the other heights besides the 7'4". A 7'4" contesting another 7'4" provides a good contest, but since the 7'4" is so slow, it's not likely to be in good defensive position often, which means the 6'11" takes the cake with an average close contest of nearly 32%. That's more than double a 6'10", which is at 15%, and almost triple the contest percentage of a 6'9" at 11.1%. When contesting from slightly further away, the 6'11" was yet again the most effective height. Although the percentages were low, the 6'11" still had nearly double the contest of a 6'9" in the same scenario. And if you haven't checked out the 6'11" build guide I dropped on our channel, definitely give it a look, as I made a 6'11" build with 99 block and I've been getting some serious contests. But not only are contests determined by your height, block, and perimeter rating, but it also comes from the grades of the offensive player's jump shot as well, with higher release heights and immunity grades offering significantly lower contest percentages. When testing these different jump shot grades, jump shots with an A immunity and release height offered far better contest percentages when compared to the B's, C's, D's, and F's. And after looking at these results, I would make sure you have a highly graded jump shot in those areas, with release height being the #1 priority. And if you want to find the best jump shots,
yeah, on their website, if you're looking for the best jump shots for your specific build, I mean, in the premium section over here under the custom jump shots, they have the entire database, man. If you use code Joe, you'll get it for like, I think it's like $4 a month, and you'll get access for the best green windows, fastest shots, everything you would want for your specific build. I use it for every build that I make. I definitely recommend it. And then, like I said, they have all this free stuff like this video and a ton of other stuff on the website that is completely free and will help you understand the game and make better builds.
But when it comes to defense this year in NBA 2K26, there's a lot to keep in mind when trying to be an effective defender. And I'll try to break down some of the key points right now. And one of the most important things I haven't said in this video is that it's extremely important to have solid physicals like speed and agility to ensure good defensive positioning. With good positioning and a high block rating, you should be able to effectively contest most shots. That is, if you aren't at a major height disadvantage, because height also plays a huge role in contest effectiveness. And
yeah, this chart right here really, I think, shows just how important height is. And I said it when I played at Community Day just for a few hours. I said it felt like height was super important. And that's not just for shooting over people, it's for getting contests. Like, look at this. We're talking about -10 to -6 inches, and then they compare it, you know, slowly trickle all the way down until it's +7 to +10 inches. I mean, you look at the difference in the contests and like what they rate the effectiveness of it. I mean, super valuable information. It just confirmed everything that I felt when I tested the game for a few hours, that height is so important on this game.
Should definitely be considered when making defensive builds and determining in-game matchups.
But if y'all want to see some of these defensive tips in action, click that video on the screen right there. That's one of the best competitive 5v5 games you're going to see all year.